Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Titanium Tuesdays on Propelio TV. Today I'm sitting down with my very good friend Elizabeth Austin.
Hi.
Elizabeth, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Today we're going to go through some case studies where Elizabeth is a retail agent, but she is going to give us some tips on how to negotiate sellers' emotions, which can translate both to realtors and investors.
Absolutely.
So why don't you take a second to kind of introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are.
Well, if you don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Austin, so I run the Good Home team here in Dallas. A lot of you guys are going to know Austin Good and Nick Good. They truly own the team, but I'm the one who keeps it alive on the day-to-day. I'm sure they'll love me saying that. Yeah, so that's our traditional retail side. We help about 200 plus families every year, continuing to grow that. Sold about 54 million in volume last year, average price point about being 280, and we're super heavy on the listing side. So I would say we're 65% listings, and then whatever that other percentage is, 35% buyers.
Gotcha.
So a lot of experience handling sellers' emotions, and boy, do they have them.
Right. So real quick before we dive into our first case study, please like, comment, share, and also throw up some questions for Elizabeth. I'm sure. Open book. Yeah. Today, we want to get as much out of her as we possibly can. So throw up the questions. I'll interrupt her during the case studies, and we'll get your questions answered. So let's dive into the first case study here. This is a listing of yours.
Yes.
How long ago was it?
It was this year.
Okay.
Springtime, like February, March-ish.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
So how did you come about getting the listing, and what makes this a case study worthy listing?
Okay, the whole experience, especially getting the listing and until we got it under contract, definitely makes it case study. Lots of emotions, really interesting situation. We are huge. About 40% of our listing business comes from expired listings. So this home had been listed with 2 other agents. Expired off the market both times. I actually think the agent or the seller pulled it off the market. I don't know that they even let the contract go the full time with these agents. So we're big cold callers. We're a big prospecting based team. We've got some OSAs, outbound sales agents, who help call for us. So at 8 o'clock at night, I have my OSA blow me up 3 times. I'm honestly trying to ignore him because it's 8 o'clock at night. And on the other line are these people. And he's like, Elizabeth, they're really desperate. They're getting kicked out of the country. Which they claim was true. Some of the stuff doesn't add up, but that is still the story that's being told. They're getting kicked out of the country. They need to talk to you. I know we can help them. I was like, fine, okay, connect me. Immediately connects me. At 8 o'clock at night, I end up having an hour-long phone conversation, maybe an hour and a half, where I'm learning why they need to sell, what they're trying to sell for, what their situation is, what's happened the last few times that they went on the market and were unsuccessful, and then hang up with them, go do a quick market analysis, call them back, and set an appointment for the next day to go meet them in person.
Gotcha. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Jamie Woolley on here.
All it is.
Right. You're trying to find what the problem is and how you can solve it as a realtor.
Absolutely.
Whereas we're solving it as an investor.
Yep.
You said that the majority of your business comes from like expired listings and cold calling. So you're kind of always cleaning up other realtors' messes.
A little bit, yeah. That's a good way to put it, yeah.
I mean, that's like
clearing up false expectations, repricing, remarketing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a huge part of our business.
That's a pretty bold strategy, though, for you guys to pick. I mean, because you're not ever getting like the fresh and clean, like, hey, I just want to list my house.
These are people who've raised their hand, who've already said that they want to sell. Most likely they have motivation, not always, but most likely. I mean, it's the most aggressive call I think you can make, but it's also one of the easiest calls because, like I said, we're huge in cold calling. So if I'm just, calling around a neighborhood out of the blue, I'm really having to start from the scratch there. Right. So you've got the most aggressive agents and teams going after these, but if you think in your mindset, These are people who want to sell. They just had an awful experience. Someone promised them the world and let them down, and now they just need to know how you're going to find solutions for their problems and show them that path to success. It's not too bad.
Right.
I mean, they're not happy when you first call them.
Right. So, okay, on this one, you've scheduled the appointment. Do you run the appointment yourself?
Okay, so what's really funny is I actually did bring Nick on this appointment with me. So I essentially did a full listing presentation all over the phone and was essentially going to redo it again in person when we could meet, look at the home, really evaluate that, see what needed. I can't remember why I brought him with me because we've probably run 4 or 5 appointments together total our whole careers. But I did bring him with me. And when we get there, we always start by walking the house. They answer the door, and the people who answer the door were not actually the homeowners, but they didn't speak English, and they let us in their home and they start giving us a tour. And Nick and I are just like, how are we going to do this? They don't speak English. Okay, so it turns out they were just like grandparents or family friends, and so that got really easy. After we toured the home, the homeowners actually got there, and we were able to sit down, built it new. Then they're getting kicked out of the country. Where they're really concerned is, of course, how much we're going to charge, and then how much they're going to walk away with, because all of their money's in this home, and they need all of this money to go back to the other country that they're going to. And so we're sitting here just trying to even run numbers for them of what can we do, how can we sell this, not to mention I'm on a time frame of like a 45-day time frame, and this is a neighborhood that sells really slowly.
Right.
Had another home in that neighborhood that took us like 4 months to sell. It was just going back and forth, them nitpicking on our commission, us running numbers higher than I even think I can sell your home for.
So what's crazy about this is an expired listing, right? And obviously this had to be a huge topic of conversation. They wanted to talk to you about how much you were going to charge.
Right, always.
Which I'm assuming whoever originally listed the property probably listed it on a discount.
They did.
So they weren't highly motivated to perform, which is why it ends up being an expired listing.
Right.
Because it probably just got slapped on the MLS, right?
Actually, so they did discount, but who they listed with before is not a bad agent at all. Very successful. We knew them personally. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who discount. We ended up having competition with an agent who actually outsells us, which is pretty rare. Most of the time when we go on these appointments, because we are such a volume team and sell so many homes, it's really rare for us to have that much competition that sells more than us.
Right.
Our competition did, and we ended up getting this 1% higher than what she was offering.
There you go.
I won't name names. But it's about showing the value. I kind of hate when people say that. It's like value, but
right.
It was showing them how we could still do this in the time frame, and we ended up getting it under contract within 2 weeks. But the craziness was that 2 weeks.
Right. So what happened during those 2 weeks that was
okay? So we get
crazy?
We get the paperwork signed, then and there at the appointment, 2-hour appointments, and if you also know us, you know we're normally in and out in 25 minutes. Okay. We're not the fluffy presentation people. Because of their time constraint, it was, hey, I want to be on the market today. So I go back to the office. I don't normally bring signs, lock boxes. We don't have any photos. We're working around their stager who they're paying money for that they don't have, trying to renegotiate them, getting their money back on that. I come back out. I have their home on MLS on the market, sign in the front yard, lockbox ready to go, and then photography happened the next morning. We have our own systems, which we totally blew up to make this happen for these people. Okay, so then the crazy...
Oh, real quick, we've got a question.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, what did they say to you when you told them they should have taken the first offer?
They agreed. They agreed.
There you go.
Yeah, because I don't even see how they got that first offer. I really don't. Pricing something we really praise ourselves on, and it's something a lot of agents struggle with, and that's a really big strength of ours. My mind was blown that they even got that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're going to get open houses, right, or no?
Yes. Okay, so we talked about open houses, and they're like, those don't work. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you this open house is going to sell your home. I'm telling you I'm going to do everything I can to bring opportunity to you. And I said, I want to do such a good job for you because I want to call every single one of your neighbors and tell them what I did and how quickly I did it so that I can get more listings. So we didn't shy away from saying, well, there's a little selfish motivation here. Like, we want to dominate this neighborhood. We want more. This is why I'm going to work so hard for you. And they were okay with that. So we get them on the market within 2 hours of leaving their property, which I don't normally recommend because we can't do quite as much as we would like to do before that. But was they didn't communicate together. So then I would repeat myself 8 or 9 times a day. And it was purely because they were so stressed. They were so nervous. Their money's in here. Updates. How's everything going? Where are we on marketing? And then he was like, I want an update every single day at 5 o'clock from you about how it went. And I'm like, I can't effectively do my job if I'm constantly having to call you. I really can't.
So let's talk about that. You're up against it. 45 days. You want to get this sold as quickly as possible. Yeah. What are you doing in the background? What are you doing as your job to get this?
So we pay a lot of money to market online, of course, because we know so many people are going to start online first, but we also heavily prospect. We've got 40,000 people in our database, and we've got inside sales agents and outbound sales agents who can go start cold calling through those. Like I said, I had other homes in the area, so then people who missed out on that one, if they did not move forward, I can also go and see if those agents and their clients are still interested. So it's a ton of prospecting, a ton of marketing, a lot of follow-up, and just making people aware this home's on the market and why they should go for it.
And if you have a seller that's communicating with you so frequently, how do you try to go about to calm their nerves and just let them know that just trust me and let me do my job, it's going to happen?
So normally that works out pretty well. Just to be like, I mean, it's communicating with them to let them know what I'm doing, not just saying, trust me, but hey, here's my plan, which we laid out for them. But they were so nervous, and I was getting calls every day, and finally I had to say, I can't talk to you every day. I absolutely can't. This is actually stopping me from doing my job. This is why this one got so crazy, because it's 8 to 9 times a day, it's texting on top of that, and then it's a call every day at 5 where they want to see showings that happen, marketing, how many hits we're getting on websites, and I'm like, I just can't even do that every single day. So that resulted at 8 o'clock in the night, like within 4 days into having the listing, a really huge fight over the phone. And I've never done that with a client before, but I had to regain control of the situation. And I wish I could remember it clearly. You know, your body like blocks pain, so you can't even remember it clearly. But essentially saying that if they're not going to do business the way we're going to do business, I'm going to have to let you go, and we're not going to have to work together, because at this point you're getting in the way of me doing my job for you.
Right.
And we've got weekly updates that we've got consistent feedback on the day-to-day. So there's other systems we have so that they're not being left in the dark. That's nothing any of our clients will have. And he was telling me then he was going to go find another agent, and he was going to give me another week. And I told him no. I said, you're not going to give me another week so that you can go do interviews. You're not going to sit on the market with me and use me to go interview other agents and keep your time. We either do this and we move forward, or we terminate right now. And he was really offended by that initially, but it allowed us to go back and forth. He calmed down a teeny little bit. Within 2 weeks in our second open house, he was really happy though, because we had more people through our open houses, more hits online, more showings than any other agent had gotten it before. So he could see everything we were doing was working. You just can't always force people to bring offers out of that.
So real quick, we've got a question. So how do you have an argument with a client without losing the business, or are you going into it fully prepared to lose them as a client?
I was fully prepared at that point to lose him as a client. Right. I was really at my wit's end. I feel like I'm not even explaining this in a way that makes it sound as miserable as it really was. It's one of those, as soon as I signed it, let me be honest with you, as soon as I signed it and walked out of that house, Nick and I have this issue where we're closers. We can't help but close people we don't even want sometimes.
Right.
Whether it's interviewing them for our team or for sellers and buyers. I walked out, it's like, we shouldn't have signed this listing.
Absolutely.
Not that we can't sell it, but just it's going to be a headache the whole time.
I think anybody that does any kind of volume has had that moment before where you're like,
what did I do? Can we even do this in the time frame?
We could make money. It was probably a mistake. It's probably not going to be worth our time and effort for what we are going to make on it.
Right.
You know, but at the end of the day, you train yourself to become a closer, like you're saying. And this translates, you know, you're coming from the retail agent side of things, but as an investor, I see this very parallel scenarios
here.
I'm
sure.
I mean, when we sit down with a motivated seller and they're telling us a lot of the same issues that you're dealing with right here, you know, time frame, the house needs to be sold in a certain time frame, How much am I going to get out of the property? Right. What are the expenses? And then, the pain points, which are they're supposedly having to get kicked out of the country.
No, they did end up leaving the country. Okay. I just don't think the time frame was as short as they told me.
Right.
No, it totally is. And that's the hard part, I think, for people like us, is it's like, you can help. It's just, are we all being realistic about how we can help and what we can get for this?
Right. So, all right, at that point in time, you've had the argument.
I had the argument.
You put your foot down.
I put my foot down, and I did keep the business, and I was prepared to lose it, but I felt like I also had to do it in order to regain respect, which I know that sounds kind of weird. And trust me, this is the one and only time in my career that I've ever really yelled at a client.
Right. Were you yelling at the wife or the husband?
The husband.
So, okay. I know this sounds crazy, but way back when, my sister called me, and we were having some deep family conversation. And this has always stuck with me, where she said, men seek out respect. And when a woman puts her foot down like that and demands respect, it really speaks to a man.
Yes, our relationship was so much better after that. Right. And I think I had to do that, or it was almost testing me the entire time. Right.
And that's understanding the emotions of a seller and who you're dealing with.
Yes.
And
But if you're not prepared to lose that business, don't go in and have that conversation.
Right. I'm sure over the course of the time, you learned that about this particular seller, and you've obviously made that judgment call on the spot.
Right.
That it was the right time and place to take that course of action.
I also just couldn't take it anymore.
Right. But it's also for yourself as well.
Yeah, it was for my sanity. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've been there before where there's been times where I look back at it and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have raised my voice or been so strong about it.
Oh, no, I did feel kind of awful about it immediately after, because I don't talk to my clients that way.
Right.
But then seeing the improvements it made, like, it felt good and I felt awful.
Right.
But it definitely, the rest of the transaction was still tricky and difficult and really emotionally strong, but that definitely helped with that.
Right. For those of you that are just joining us today, thank you for watching. Please drop some questions in the comments. Elizabeth today is talking about how to negotiate sellers' emotions. And we're using two particular case studies, whereas a listing agent, she had to deal with very difficult sellers and scenarios. And this translates not only in the real estate realtor world, but also in the investor world. So Please drop some questions up there. We got one from Melody. Says sometimes you have to have the come to Jesus talk. It just reiterates you're all on the same page and have the same goal.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
And I think, like you said, it almost makes the relationship better.
It was a risk. It did, though. I think it did.
I've sometimes felt like when you have those come to Jesus talks, that it almost now, it's no longer like this professional relationship. It's like we were finally real.
Yeah.
With each other.
And that's actually one of our strengths on our team. So we'll have a lot of people who hire us sometimes, and as much as we have these results, they're like, I don't know why, I just feel it. It's just you. And I think it's because, like, we are who we are. And we're good at what we do because of that. It's not a show. It's not something just crazy fancy. It's us. It's facts. It's keeping the feelings out of it for the most of it, which helps manage their emotions. If I can go to stats and facts and trends, then I'm minimizing their emotional reaction to what I'm saying.
Right. So Sydney asks, have you ever read the 5 love languages?
Oh my gosh, I love love languages.
So I've also read it, and the follow-up was, if so, has that helped your business tactics?
I would say yes, but not for my clients as much. It has for me running my team. In fact, at our business planning last year, I actually took 30 minutes, 45 minutes for us to all go over the love languages, talk about what they are, and help them discover what theirs are. I can't say I've always been the best at communicating with them in their love language after that, but I do know most of my teams. I know, like, Nick and Austin's,
right.
And that's so important to me. Like, I'll push that on them all the time. So I see it more there than probably with my buyers and sellers.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps when you're trying to give recognition, or even how you just run your team overall,
right,
and communicate with them. It's a very powerful book. Maybe we should give that book away today.
Oh.
Ryan says he'll buy it for someone today. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that.
Also, Grant Teaspoon did an episode last year about head, heart,
There you go.
I've never.
So there you go. There's a whole in the comments. There's a whole episode that Grant teach me something about this topic, and I love Grant because he's always one step ahead of me.
What's your love language, RJ?
I don't really want to give out anything about my personal life on this show. Everybody keeps asking me things about this, and
but your love language is more than personal.
Well,
you may have a different one for your personal than for your business. I'm pretty sure I do.
See, I like to just be the man of mystery.
Oh my gosh, it's that beard.
Yes. I was told I'm very mysterious this past week, so I'm just going to keep it that way. Isn't that right, Jawad? Very mysterious. Anyways, back to our case study. So at this point in time,
Cassie asked me a question. Hold on.
What did you say, Cassie?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so words of affirmation for sure. Quality time second. Physical touch is third. I don't care about acts of service. You can't give it to me too much, though.
People want to ask questions about real estate, so let's get back to the case study. As much as I love the love language talk, and then you trying to bring in my personal love languages.
We'll get it out of you one day.
Awkward conversation for me. So, okay, where are we at on
so
dealing with this very nasty seller
So
here?
what had happened was we have that talk. By the end of it, we come to an agreement. This is a 30-minute kind of screaming match on the phone where I'm not even allowing him to talk over me. And we come to an agreement that we're going to keep working together, keep giving it a shot. So this is actually, if I'm correct, we had it for a week. We had a weekend, open house, great traffic. I believe that this is week 2, the beginning of week 2 that we have this fight. So then the week keeps going. We have showings. These guys were trying to take everything into their own hands. I mean, they were calling all of the agents before they even showed the home because they get all this information through our centralized showing service, trying to talk to them and vet their buyers for them. Goodness. And then they would call me after talking to the agent. What did you hear? What do you know? And I'll be honest, I'm not trying to follow up with that agent within 30 minutes of them showing the home.
Right.
Typically, we wait at least 24 hours for them to naturally give us the feedback, and then we'll start reaching out. So then when I didn't have it, they would get really mad at me, like, well, we already know this. And I'm like, wait. How do you know that?
Right.
Like, stop interfering. It's tough because you want the most amount of money. You want the shortest amount of time. I can get you the most amount of money, but you're putting me on a tight time crunch, not like most sellers. So those things don't necessarily go together right now. And us looking desperate and reaching out to people before they've even shown the home, it's not helping our case to get you that money.
Right.
They didn't get that. They kept doing that the entire time. But I was like, as long as you realize I'm not going to get it for you within 1 hour, because you have to remember, we've got 25 to 40 listings on the market. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, you also have other clients.
Right, and then not to mention everyone we're helping buy too. And I'm never too busy for my clients, but that is just it's unrealistic for me to follow up that way.
Right.
So we do an open house. Luckily, the agent who does an open house has someone who comes through who's unrepresented or had an agent, they weren't with them, and says they want to make an offer. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. So I have them come in and make an offer, and then I get a second offer in from that weekend, from a showing, from someone who's out of town. Both of these offers come in crazy low. So just to give you specifics, we listed at $515. We did tell them, we think you'll sell closer to $500 or so. Like, that's really what the home's worth. So the fact that you ever got that $525 offer is amazing. Real sorry about that.
Right. But would it even have appraised for that?
I don't believe so, but you never know with appraisers, right? So these offers come in at like $460, $465, and I'm like, they're just trying, they know how desperate you are, and I'm like, this is why you don't have conversations. You've actually talked to both of these people.
Right.
I'm able to pit those two offers against one another, negotiate one of them up by like $25,000, $30,000, get them to $495, get them like a 25-day close, but then they want to be out of the country, and then they're like, Elizabeth, we need a lease back. And I'm like, well, we never talked about a lease back. You told me you were just desperate to get out of here.
Oh my goodness.
So what's funny is the buyer is actually an investor who was 1031 exchanging his money from another property into this property.
Right.
So he was on a time limit himself, and I'm just trying to mash up and make these timelines work for both of them. it ended up happening and we got under contract, but it was a battle every day. He called me every day about the appraisal. When is it coming in? Can we close sooner? Can we get more of a lease back? Every single day. He's going around title companies to get his own HOA docs. And I'm like, you actually slow down the process doing that. Like he was trying to save himself money. And
right.
I don't know if he did. I don't know if you save yourself money doing that. We got it to close. By the time we're at closing, you would have no clue that these people that we ever fought. So grateful, so happy. They're like, we know it got real emotional, but you were so amazing. And I'm like, what? I've got a photo with them. It's on my Facebook somewhere. You can go check it out. I'll have to just like put it, maybe I won't. Maybe that's too personal. Never mind. Take that back. But I mean.
Yeah, you should tag them in this video.
We're not Facebook friends. I do become Facebook friends with most of my clients, not these. But they are out of the country. They were so grateful. I mean, literally hugged me at the closing table. I was so shocked. I was kind of scared to go to closing, but I'm like, I'm going to go get my review and go get my photo.
Right there. You kick them out of the country. Sold your house, now get the hell out of here. So, all right, so that's case study number 1. We're going to take a short break here. Please drop some comments and questions in the comments here. Really want to get some more questions for Elizabeth, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, guys, we're back from commercial break. I want to get some questions in here for Elizabeth. For anyone who's ever wondered why it looks like I have terrible posture on this show, it's because I slide down.
Yeah, these leather chairs.
I know. So on camera, I'm going to put in a request for a new specific chair for RJ Bates. Courtesy of Propelio. Thank you, Ryan.
The Game of Thrones ground.
Yes,
you're giving away books, you're getting chairs.
A titanium chair. All right, so I know we have another case study here. Mm-hmm. This one you actually just closed on.
Just closed yesterday, so if you go to my Facebook page, you'll actually see the live testimony from these clients. But this has been over a year in the making for this one.
A year in the making.
Year in the making.
That is crazy. So, all right, you've had this listing twice?
I've had it twice.
2 different sellers?
Nope, same seller hired me twice.
Okay. All right, so explain that.
Okay, so once again, our bread and butter's expired business. So they expired off the market. They were on the market for over a year with another agent, local agent. This one was in DeSoto. And this one's got some funny little twist to it. On the know that we're going to go in and do stuff to their home to get it market ready, or you can always price appropriately. And this was just, everything they put in was where you're not getting your money back. And so that stresses me out as an agent who does work with so many people. When you get newer agents or less experienced agents in their advising, it gets a little risky. So definitely sellers, do your homework. They had 5 showings in a year. 5 showings in a year. 2016, hottest real estate market there ever was.
Wow.
And expired off the market. I cold call, like I said, that's how we prospect, and get him to meet with me. I don't remember how that conversation went. That was relatively smooth. But so I have an appointment to go out to his home, and I actually take one of my teammates with me, who was one of my really good friends. I think we were just together, and I was like, you want to run it with me? And he was like, sure. So we get in there, and we like doing that occasionally because we like to see how each other works, because we're all different.
Right.
And he works more of a luxury market in Dallas, while I work everything else.
Right.
So
you don't do the luxury market at all?
No, I won't say I don't do it. I definitely do, but my bread and butter is really probably under 500,000.
Okay.
I'm a volume game. I'm a contact sport. I'm not worried about, let me just sell $1 million home so I can sell less homes. I'm like, let me get as many homes as I can.
Gotcha. Well, I have to interrupt you real quick, because speaking of 2016, Cassie Solis, who was my escrow officer back in 2016, I haven't spoken to Cassie probably since 2016. She just commented, miss you guys. Love keeping up with your progress. We miss you, Cassie.
That's sweet.
Reach out to me sometime.
Be a better friend. Jeez.
Well, yeah. I balled this up for this moment right there. So anyways.
I thought you were joking about throwing that at me.
Yeah, I was. All right, so getting back to your story.
Okay. So we go to the house. We walk in. We do the tour. That's all fine and dandy. This home, we're the only ones to have sold in this neighborhood in the past 2 years, to successfully have sold.
Okay.
So I'm using that as leverage, but we're walking through. We sit upstairs to have our talk with the owner. Wife's not there, and it's just him. And I'm letting my partner here do a lot of the talking. And if he sees this, he's going to kill me for saying it. But he doesn't. He's so used to a different clientele, and so many of his clients are his sphere, they're his friends, so that he can be real honest about like, ooh, like you need to change that, like that's not cute, and this price point doesn't want that.
Right.
So there's this really awful green tile throughout this home. It's in the entryway, it's in the fireplace in the master, and he sits here and he's like, yeah, I'm just like, ooh, gross when I see this green tile. I'm so sick of it. And then, oh, it's in the entryway again, and I'm sitting here like, you're literally offending this guy. Like, you're telling him how gross his tile is.
Right.
And let's be real, that's not stopping this home from selling, ultimately. So the seller gets furious at us in that moment, and I don't really blame him. And he was like, you've got 5 minutes to make your case or you can get out of my house. Because he was so offended by my teammate here talking about his green tile and how over it he was.
Normally you don't take people with you, right?
No, really I don't. What's funny, both of these, I do have someone with me. This one was just for fun though. Like I didn't call him in for reinforcements. We were just together. And I was like, let's just go run it together.
Business, bro.
So yeah, I got a question for you. Before we carry on your 5-minute spiel. Why do you think so many listings expire?
Number one reason's price. Number one reason. So agents don't know how to price the home, and they'll listen to the seller rather than the market.
So this is from Melody, and she specializes in short sales.
Okay.
And so I'm sure she kind of lives in a world of delusional.
Oh yeah, we deal with them too, so can relate.
So you think it's price? Do you think that's because the realtor is not managing the expectations of the seller, or the realtor's trying to get too much because they're riding the DFW wave?
I think it's a lot of things. I think it's there's plenty of realtors, and not to bad talk realtors, but they don't necessarily know how to price, maybe how to fully evaluate the market, how to look at comps and really know what it's worth. So I think there's a struggle there. I do think it's managing the expectations, because sellers are always going to want here, and if that's not what they can get, you've got to figure out how to show them and help them see what they can actually get for their home. And it could be like so desperate for a listing and for business that they're just going to price it at whatever that they want, and have no intention of selling, and get sign calls and text writers and use that as an opportunity to just get their sign in the ground and see what business they can get from that.
Well, I don't want to badmouth realtors, but it is
it's
one.
Okay, you can.
It is one of the very few professions where after 14 days, you're now a professional.
Oh my gosh,
and you're licensed to do this.
And to help people.
Right.
Instantly know more than every investor ever.
Yeah, true.
So, anyways, all right, back to your story. You've got 5 minutes because
I got 5 minutes. His face gets red.
You shouldn't have even brought. You brought him just for.
Well, he's actually a really good agent. I just think he's not used to talking to a different type of clientele a little bit. So. Right. His friends maybe would have taken that differently or as a joke. This stranger we're sitting in front of was very offended by it. Yes, so I have 5 minutes. I just completely take over. I literally shut him up. He does not speak the rest of the time. I get this guy to sign right then and there. And I'm just talking to him about how we are the only person to actually have successfully sold in this neighborhood. What we do, the reach that we have, how many homeowners we help. We had some objections to overcome. I'm nervous to say this on camera, but it's true. He actually almost didn't want to hire me because I was white, and told me that to my face.
There you go.
Yeah. I've gotten the woman thing before. I've gotten that before. So
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. See, Austin, there.
Yeah. So before we had a conversation where Austin said Elizabeth wanted to hang this sign in the Good Home Team's office, and Austin said that Elizabeth is privileged, and she's No one's ever told her she couldn't have something.
Right. I've got that in text
This
too.
guy
If he tries
did.
to deny it.
He told you can't have his listing.
He was concerned about that. He was also concerned location-wise, like if your office is here, can you sell here? But he was definitely concerned with the color of my skin and being able to do his job, our location. Now we've offended him.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Let me play devil's advocate for him for a second. Do you think maybe the reason why he was thinking that is because of the potential buyers that were going to be going in there?
Oh, 100%. It wasn't like really, I don't think, against me. It's overall looking at the demographic of where his home's at and trying to appeal to the market. For sure, yeah.
I mean, maybe it wasn't a completely racist statement.
Oh, no, I actually didn't get offended by it. But I was still shocked because it's always shocking when someone tells you that, especially to your face, you know?
Right.
Like I said, I've gotten it for being a woman. We're not going to hire you because you're a woman. Oh, that one really sets me off, actually. So that's another story.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother case
Just
study.
like, while you've been talking, I think we should also have you come back at some point in time and we should talk about pricing, because a lot of what you're talking about today is you're getting these deals from expired listings.
Right.
And you're thinking that the main reason why they're expired is because of pricing.
It's a big part of it, yeah. It's a big part of it, and that's going to be huge for investors. I mean, when buying right or selling, doing your calculations, pricing is huge. So knowing the market and knowing how to fully evaluate comps is going to be so impactful to everyone's success, whether you're an agent or an investor.
You're like our first call. You're like, you're Titanium Investments' first call anytime we list a property and it doesn't sell in like 38 seconds.
You guys, I got a call from RJ a few weeks ago, and he was like, Elizabeth, I need a realtor. I've got this home in Fort Worth, and I was like, I don't even need to hear about that one. It's like a multi-million-dollar home. You're good. Give it time. I'm not even going to look into it. It's fine. And then I got this other one, and for the first time ever, you're like, a real estate agent told me I underpriced my home, and that's why it's not selling.
Yeah, I found out that we underpriced our house. We thought we were doing a good thing.
Create that frenzy.
Yeah, we could have listed it for $475. We listed it for like $450.
I know that sounds crazy, and you're like, there's no way that works, but all the activity in that market really was in that higher price point, and the home was totally worth it.
Yeah.
But that city has really taken a hit right now.
And here's the thing. To some people that might be like, well, maybe she was just, kind of shooting you some BS. She actually backed it up with facts. She showed me how to run reports, and now this is a new system that we use every time we go to list a property. So
nice.
It's amazing the things that you learn when you just reach out to your people.
That's why you've got people in all corners of your life.
Yeah.
I think you should now touch on why multiple opinions are important, because everybody's probably going, isn't Cassie?
Right. So Cassie DeHaas is obviously my partner, but she is also a licensed realtor. Mm-hmm. But she is not a retail agent. That's not what we do. We're investors. We're building a portfolio. We flip houses. We wholesale properties. And in the past couple of years, like you said, 2016, you didn't have to do anything. You just priced it right. You put it on the MLS.
You could even not price it right and probably sell.
You got multiple offers. Things are a little bit different now.
The market's shifting. It's going to be more crucial than ever, and I'm okay with that.
Right. Well, it's also better for investors as well. Not just for you guys, but it's also better for us, where there's a shift in the market and there's going to be opportunities open up for investors.
There absolutely is, and investors definitely need to pay attention to this, because just like for retail agents, if we were a little wrong on pricing, it would still probably sell. We may even still get multiple offers. For investors, if you didn't run your numbers right, the market was going to cover your mistakes a little bit, and that is not going to happen anymore.
Right.
So it's really crucial. Plus, I know for us, this is probably for you guys too, the amount of agents in the business, like so many people run in when that market's so hot, and they're going to be running out now. So it's probably the amount of agents is going to drop by half in the next 3 to 5 years. There's not a tally of how many investors are in the market, but I'm sure more and more of the non-savvy investors are also going to be leaving the market.
There you go. All right, so let's get back to this.
Business.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so I do get him to sign then and there. Have to get the wife to sign. He had been on the market for over a year. There's not a ton of activity that happens in this neighborhood. Once again, he's like, listen, I'm giving you 90 days to get this done. And I'm like, awesome. I love all these people who spend so much time with everyone else, and then I get like 45, 90 days to get the job done. We made a huge correction in pricing. They started at $365, and I'm pretty sure I got them down to like $325, $330. I get more offers in the first week than they had. I'm sorry, more showings in the first week than they had the whole year. So he's pretty happy with me at that point. But he is a little unrealistic still on the sales price and on what needs to get done to the home. We get an offer. They get their inspection done, and we just have so many repairs that come up on this. They've been in this home for 25 years. Like, they've maintained it pretty well, but still, there's so much at this point that comes up on the home. The agent's trying to ask for all of these repairs. They're trying to negotiate the price down further, and my client was being really stubborn, essentially, and agreed to some of the repairs, but wouldn't agree to the price, and this deal totally just falls apart. Totally falls apart. He's really stubborn, and he's pretty sure that he can just go off the market and list for more later. So we end up expiring off the market ourselves after 90 days. And he says he's going to relist in spring because he knows he can get more money. And I was like, no. Like, you're not doing all this stuff to your home. You're not necessarily going to get more money. This is 2017. So if you're a retail agent or even an investor, that first sign of the correction really started the last week of July 2017.
Right.
Since we do so much, it was a dead stop. We felt it. And I was just telling him, I was like, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to get you more money. I want you to hear me on this. You're going to now spend holding cost maintaining this property until springtime when you're ready to relist, that you could go and get into your lower house, your lower payment, and make up that really quickly. Didn't want to hear it. So we expire. I bring him an off-market opportunity a few months later. Doesn't work out. And then
when you expired, was the intentions on eventually relisting with you?
It was definitely relisting. I took the initiative to assume it was with me because I'm going to always assume the close. And so I stayed in touch with him, and that's why when I had someone who reached out who was interested in the home, I brought it to him, got him back. So I was still in touch with him every few months.
Hold on, I have to interrupt you. Nicole Espinoza just joined us.
Nicole, my fellow boss babe.
Yeah. Anyways.
And you're just trying to create trouble now.
Yeah. I love Nicole. You love Nicole.
Too.
So
obviously.
Anyways, I just had to give her a hard time. So, all right, getting back to your story.
Okay. So comes back around to springtime. He does reach out to me, says he plans to relist. This time, though, he's interviewing me and 2 or 3 other agents. And I'm like, fantastic. Like, I already proved to you how much activity we got. We got offers. We got showings. And essentially, they had seller's fatigue. And so it was managing that emotion of like, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's really hard when the market or an agent or life is just beating you down. We're really therapists, are we not, in this business?
Right.
Okay, so then I go and I compete. This is my first time now actually meeting the wife. And I'm against 2 other top teams. Like, technically, this one team sells more than we do again. The second team, they're an expansion team. So their headquarters are in Austin. Their expansion team's here. As a whole, they're one of the top teams within Keller Williams International, like top 5.
But
this expansion team.
Why would these top producing teams be interested in getting a listing in a neighborhood that never sells?
Well, it's not that it doesn't sell. There's just low turnover.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we all want more business. This is a silly question.
It's not a silly question. It's like there's so many houses that you could go out there and be trying to prospect for. Why would you be going after such a, I don't know, what seems to be a difficult house to sell?
But you also are assuming that before we get on that dialer that we're doing research on the homes we're calling. No. I don't do any research before I call. I just call, yeah.
You don't even care about location at all?
No.
Okay,
no, not at all. Yeah. I do my research after, and then I'm like, what am I getting myself into?
So there was a question earlier on what's the difference between cold calling for an agent and an investor. I think that's a little bit of a difference. I don't think, personally for me, we don't just cold call anything that hits a certain criteria. Location is going to definitely play a role as an investor.
Yeah, I can see that too.
That could be one big difference.
Yeah. So. Now I'm going to do my work before I take the time to go out to the property. But I don't want to do all this work to make a call and never have them pick up the phone and never get in touch with them.
Right. So Dominique has a question. Mm-hmm. She says, how often do you follow up? I'm thinking at the time she's talking about after it's expired.
After the first time and before.
Right.
That's a good question. It's always case by case with every seller. With him, a handful of times, like just throwing some text, doing some emails. Actually, what I was doing too is occasionally sending market information to be like, it's not getting better. Let me relist your home.
Right.
And then, of course, with that person, that buyer that I was trying to bring off market.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so now you go on the market a second time?
Yeah, so I'm in competition. A team who sells more than us, technically another team who sells the most within all of Keller Williams. We're talking, I don't even know how much actually, but they have an expansion team here. So you got to create doubt wherever you can. Within your client's mind and against other agents. So I'm never here to bad talk another agent or an investor, but I do have to create doubt why going with me is better. Right. So I'm able to talk about that with tools that we have, with the success we have, and then actually I won them over pretty much when I was there. They were like, do you see why I hired her the first time? Which was great, but then they still weren't going to sign with me and they were going to meet with those. So I'm sitting here doing what I can. Hey, this agent who's coming out to you, yes, he's on a top team. I know the owners of those teams. You need to know this agent's never sold a thing. So are you really confident that when you've been unsuccessful twice, they're going to be able to get it done? And then I can't remember what doubt I used against the other agent because she was a fantastic agent, but you got to use what you got to use.
Right.
And once again, it's strictly facts, but you guys need to do that too, because I'm sure there's times when y'all just see each other walking the same house.
Absolutely.
And so it's building that relationship, building that rapport, having faith, and then creating doubt. So we go back on the market. He wants to hear from me a lot more this time rather than from my admin team, my transaction coordinator. He feels like for the market stuff, that should have been me versus them. And we've got all of these systems. This is how we help as many families as we do. And he goes on the market. We start getting a lot of activity. And we have a lot of interest initially and a lot of almost offers that didn't happen. And then I'm doing whatever I can. I'm doing reverse offers to buyers.
Okay, so what's a reverse offer?
So this is a new technique that I've been using, and it's worked effectively once so far, but I've only done it twice. It's where if someone has shown the home at least more than once or shown it and had like really great feedback, as a seller and a listing agent, we're going to totally write up a full price offer and send it over to the buyer to begin the dialogue with them. So I'm not
How
waiting.
did you learn this tactic? Is this just something you came up with?
No, it's not. So Nick actually used to do that back in the Great Recession, but then another top team in our office did it. And listen, I learned from others. So she talked about it once. In the last case study, remember me telling you I had another home on the market? Yep. That's how I got that home off the market. And that was also an expired listing.
There you go.
It's a story of my life. So I sent 2 or 3 reverse offers to 2 or 3 different agents. It didn't work with these. We got this home under contract a total of 3 times. The second time we get it under contract, we get through inspections, we get through repairs. Then this buyer says, there's a creek behind this home. And the buyer says, I'm scared the home's going to wash away. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is not California landslides. This home's been here since 1993. It's going strong. There's a retaining wall. And I'm like, you saw this home twice and you were so excited. Like you knew it was there. And she was like, I know, I just didn't think about it. My mind is blown. That's happened. This is the second time it's actually happened to us. So he actually did some of those repairs, spent some money. What I find out is he's actually getting really tight on money. So there's something then he's not telling me. And he was like, we've got to get it sold. We've got to get it sold. I really don't have a lot of extra money. We can't keep holding this property. Within 2 days, we got it under contract again. We just closed on it yesterday. My point being, though, we closed at the same exact price where we would have been last year. And he ended up in that time off the market, made all the repairs from the first inspection report. So it would have been better off for him to just accept that first offer a year ago. He would have netted the same, but technically put more in his pocket because he would not have been holding this home for a whole other year.
Wow.
But I mean, he was all over me too. Like, where's the feedback from this? And like, we had great communication. It was never, It's pulling teeth getting it from other agents. So it's making sure he knows that, making sure, not getting him too excited that these other offers may come in and where they're going to come in at, because agents all the time are going to say, I'm going to send you an offer. I'm going to send you an offer. Never comes. Don't tell your client anyone's ever going to send you an offer. Wait for that in writing. So he was antsy, but he was never mean, and he would respond well when I just explained the situation to him. So I think communication is the number one thing with buyers, with sellers, with investors, whatever the situation is, to keep the deals moving forward.
So how long did this one take from start to finish?
So technically that third offer came the day before we were going to expire off the market again.
Oh, wow.
So the second time I had it for 6 months, executed twice in that time. So really it was a full year from the very first time I listed it till we closed.
Wow, it's pretty crazy. All right, we need to take another break. When we come back, we're going to do some Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. So drop in all the questions that you have for Elizabeth. It can be about any topics that you want, including apparently her love language. So we'll be right back after these messages. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. Elizabeth just wrapped up her second case study. Some really interesting stuff there.
Thanks.
I mean, it's crazy how y'all's whole business is like focused around going and getting the expired listings.
Yep.
What blows me away is that just in my head seems like it would be such a difficult way to run your business, but you guys crush it. I mean, how much did y'all do last year? Like
we
50?
sold 213 homes for $54 million in volume.
It's crazy. So right now I want to open up for Q&A. Drop any questions in the comments there so we can get Elizabeth over here and pull as much knowledge out. First question we got is from Sydney. She said, what are the top 2 books for helping learn how to flow with different personalities? Animal Farm.
Those are the top 2 for sure.
Yes.
I guess I don't know that I've read books on that as much as I've like studied the disc profile. Tony Robbins has got a great thing on that. And so then you learn what are the different personality traits. And so you can figure out how to determine what someone is within your first 5-10 seconds on the call. And then that way you can mirror and match them in the call and the appointment. There's great also not a book. If you can think of a book about this, throw it out there. But Jordan Belfort has this great video series. It's like 10 hours on straight line persuasion though, and about kind of mastering the art of the sale a little bit there. And I think that'll help you manage the clients and their personalities as well too.
I know I've got like a handful of books in my Goodreads app. If you don't have the Goodreads app, I love that app.
Yeah,
have you ever
I don't
used
have it.
So it basically, anytime you're at a mastermind or a networking event or anything where people say, hey, you should read this book, you can make lists where it's like, I've read this book, I'm reading this book, or I want to read this book, and you can kind of put them together in a
That's good.
business.
I just like screenshot everyone's stuff on Facebook, and I have a folder in my phone.
The other thing is I'm sorry, I totally got thrown off. What was that from the Peanut Gallery?
You can friend people on Goodreads so you can share your book list.
That is how you can use that.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yes.
I don't have any books on that though. Do you? No.
No.
Do you read?
I mean, I do read.
I'm just a natural.
I do read. This year, I had a goal of I'm going to read 24 books this year.
Yeah.
I'm at 18 so far.
Nice.
That includes Goosebumps.
You're
though.
holding really well to your goals. You got that bucket list challenge that you do really well. Is that personal too? Do we not want to get into that?
No, we can talk about the bucket list. Yes.
Anyway, go Google anything you can about neuro-linguistic programming, and that'll really help you with personality traits and identifying that.
Okay, so we got a good question for Dominique here.
Okay.
Some sellers say, I don't need to sell, but the house is falling apart and they don't live there. Do you move on or try to get them on board?
Well, I definitely try and get them on board. So the secret to all of this is going to be asking really powerful questions too.
Find the pain point.
Find the pain point. So you don't need to sell, but the home's not in good condition. You're not living there. Is it rented out? No. Is it paid off? Yes or no? Like, what is this costing you every month? What could it do for you if you did sell that property? Are you okay to not sell it? Like, I mean, just ask questions. If I can show you a way that I can make you money and get this property sold and now you no longer have to take care of it, would that make sense for you?
Right.
Would that pose a problem for you?
So Ryan Harper says he wants to give away a book today, and it wants to be the 5 love languages. So if you can name Elizabeth's #1 love language, then you get the 5 love language book.
That's good.
So
I won't give it away.
Also, Bryce McKinley did a course for Propelio Academy for cold calling, correct?
NLP.
NLP, okay. So that should be coming out. It should be released soon. If you haven't checked out Propelio Academy, I don't know how you're watching this and you don't know what Propelio Academy is,
Right.
but you should definitely check it out. Another thing that you and I have talked a lot about today is pricing. Why don't you give like a couple of tips on how to appropriately price or what you're doing now to make sure that you're taking into account the softening of the correction in the market.
Right. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, so it's kind of probably hard to explain how I appropriately price on camera, not sitting in front of a computer showing you, but I focus mostly in the subdivision as much as I can. If I don't go out of that, here's the thing, I'm going to price as much as a retail agent like an appraiser is. So if you understand how an appraiser is going to price, connect with one, by the way, they will tell you exactly what they do. And there's no science for adding this gets you this much return. So it's a little bit of experience, a little bit of gut, but start learning and talking to appraisers and see how they go and value things. That's huge. I brought one in to talk to my team, but I'm going to look at the most recent. That sounds stupid, I know, but a lot of agents and appraisers will go 6 months back. We're in a softening market, so if you have enough from just the past 90 days, definitely go with it. But you've got to start figuring out upgrades in lot and location and views and streets and amenity. Like, you've got to just honestly go do it every single day and start pricing and seeing the trends that you're seeing. Now, I also look at showings. I look at trends and see what's happening in the market, what's happening in their area, and where the impact is going to be on them. Then I would say what was the second part of your question?
You answered it all.
No, you said something. What'd you say?
You already answered it. You
Dang.
answer all of them. So, okay, I will say this. A shout out to my partner at Titanium Investments of Arizona, Jeremy Dimmers, former licensed appraiser. And this past Friday, I kind of had a little bit of a bombshell that was dropped on me. I had a guest back out on the podcast last minute, and I didn't have a podcast for Friday. Friday was my son's birthday party. I was
fun.
super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Called Jeremy, and I'm like, hey, bud, I need you to do a podcast interview. It's just going to be you. I just need you to talk for like 10 to 15 minutes. And he dropped like the top 5 ways to pull comps like an appraiser.
Perfect.
And I tell the guy, I'm like, dude, that was straight fire. Like, that was awesome. And so check it out, the Titanium Vault, Jeremy Dimmers.
Let me touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
We are in a shifting market. So price ahead of the market. Go look at the trends, because if it's going downhill, plan for this for yourself so you can be conservative with your numbers. If homes were selling here, this is my chart, and then now they're selling here, plan to price a little bit down here.
Right.
So you're not chasing the market down. That's a conversation that's really hard to have with sellers. I'm sure it's hard to have DocuSign.
Yeah, I would assume so, but maybe he's also talking about an out-of-state seller.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of listings that we've taken where and plenty of buyers I've worked with where I've never met the buyers or sellers in person. We've only talked over the phone. There's a few where I never saw the house until we took photos. And this comes back to being really strong with pricing in the market, as
Right.
well as if I see something later, we may have to tweak if I see crazy stuff on the photos. But other than that, it's all about knowing the market, communicating. I don't need anyone to be here physically for me to do my job.
Gotcha. So Matt Smith asks, I think this is more directed towards me than you, because he says, how are your offers made? I always look up what they have in it, minus liens, and go off of that. So he's more talking about an investor side of things. Matt, I don't care how much they have in it. I don't care how much the liens are. My numbers are my numbers. I don't care about the seller's needs as far as what they have in the deal, because just like when I buy from a wholesaler, I don't care if the wholesaler makes $1 million or if he makes $1.
Right.
My numbers, I have to run my numbers as my company, be a good steward of my money, not somebody else's. Yeah, we want to solve their problems, but
You can't get screwed over in the meantime.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really is irrelevant. Now, if I make an offer for $100,000 and they come back and they say, well, I owe $125 on it, now because I made that offer, I've realized their numbers, and then maybe we can get creative where we could do a subject to, seller financing, something along those lines. But outside that, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Mr. Free Russ Keith said, price it to sell, hold costs will bite you in the end. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's for retail and investors.
That's coming from a gentleman that's been in this business for what, 20 plus years?
I would say at least 50.
50 years.
He looks good.
He does look good. That's really rude that you put a gentleman that old in your trunk when you do live and drives. All right, who won the 5 love languages?
It was it words of affirmation?
Yeah.
And melody.
Hey, good thing Ryan's paying attention to today's show. He asked what the answer was, but melody is the winner. So we'll make sure Ryan gets you that 5 love languages book.
He's gonna go buy it first.
And one other thing before we jump off of here, I just want to ask everybody to say a quick prayer for our team member, Nikki DeHaas, who's Cassie's mom. She's going into surgery literally right now for her shoulder.
It got delayed 2 hours.
Never mind.
Still give her the prayer.
Yeah, it got delayed 2 hours. Never mind. Nobody say a prayer. No, I'm just playing. We love Nikki. She's a huge part of our team and what we do. And we love you, and we hope you get better as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth, great job today.
Thanks.
You were amazing. One of the best guests ever.
Are you feeding to my words of affirmation?
Yeah, you got it. There you go. Yeah, so for the people that want to hire you now because you're such a badass agent, how can they get a
I
hold
won't
of you?
yell at you. Yeah, call me on my cell. Should I give them my number?
Yeah, do it.
214-205-7866. You can find me on Facebook, Elizabeth Austin, Instagram. I'm on social media all the time, so that's a great way to connect with me.
You know what? I say this every time someone does this.
What?
The first ever podcast I was on, the Joe Fairless podcast, he asked me at the end, I was so nervous. I was literally doing the interview on my cell phone in Cassie's lawn. Check out Titanium Investments on Facebook, or here's my email. I'm like, 817-915-6860. And I was like, wow, that was like the dumbest answer of all time. Literally, the day after that interview got blasted, I got 2 rental properties that we still own today from it.
Well, let's have a competition. Who can send me, if you can send me 3 or more referrals to beat RJ.
What do I get?
I have no clue. What are we going to give away?
Yeah, we'll give away another book.
Get another book.
Yeah.
No, we'll come up with something fun. But
we'll actually find a book that answers that question that we could.
Right.
And we'll give it that
Whatever.
away.
I gave like podcasts and stuff for that. So there's solutions there.
So anyways.
Help me beat RJ because we're always in a competition together.
There you go. Or we like to work together.
Yeah.
At some point in time. It's not everything's a competition, Elizabeth.
No, sometimes we come together.
Yes. So anyways, thank you guys for joining us on Titanium Tuesdays. Remember to check out Propelio.com, MLS comps, list, websites, Propelio Academy, best meetup in DFW. They're pretty awesome.
So
They've
good.
let me get up here 5 times now. I still can't believe it. Hopefully they let me come back next week. And we're Titanium Investments. We buy houses. Someone can send us. I've had guests that have come on here that have gotten properties, and I've yet to get one from the show. So if you're watching, I'm a little bit upset. Jamie got 2 JV deals, IJV deals, just so you know, sell more houses than Jamie. So that's the end of the show. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.